Okay, so we've established the lookup dir, but what does that mean now? So what we now need to do is we actually need to perform the lookAt function. And Apex script provides you a great lookAt functionality directly in the language or in the API. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to say lookAt, and this is basically, I want to establish a look at the top, our top joint essentially, by typing apex.transform.LookAt. Okay, and here's an interesting one. This is the version 2 of the lookAt. And I actually ran into issues. If you don't type in the version 2, you will have some problems when you start to scale parent roots. It won't actually behave. So you do want to use the lookAt version 2. And it takes a, what are you looking from? i.e. you're looking from, and in our case, it's the center, our center point, which we established here. And that's that lerp. And then you want to say the lookAt, and I want this to look at the top transform. And then the up direction is that lookdir that we just established. Okay. All right. And I save that. And again, what does this look like? If I just assign this to the lookAt joint, notice the Z right now is pointing in the direction that we would hope. But if I do the look, if I set the debug equal to, I keep doing that, lookAtdir, lookAtTop, and save, see how it's now pointing down? And this is super important in terms of where we're going with manipulating the geometry, because now as I start to transform this, see how that lookAt joint is pointing exactly how we want it to be, where the Z is pointing at the bottom, but again, it's negative, so we want it to point at the top. It actually doesn't matter in this particular case, but what matters here is that the orientation of this matrix is exactly what we want, because that matrix is where we're going to apply to our deform node. Okay. All right. So we need one last thing, because if I apply that to the deform node right now, save that. See, it's pointing down and it's looking straight down. Okay. We're not quite, that's not exactly what we're looking for. We want this forward to be looking that direction. Okay. All right. So let's fix that. And what we're going to do there is we basically just need to establish the up direction of the new lookout joint, because the lookout you see here is this way. We need to move the lookout this direction. Okay. All right. So the way that we're going to do that is I'm just going to create another variable here, and I'm going to create another apex.transform.Build node. And again, the T equals, and I want this one to go 1 in the Y. And because this matrix is now, Y is going to go this direction, and that's exactly what we want in this particular case. So now this is going to be our final matrix for our deform node. So I'm just going to say that equals trans, multiply that by the lookAtTop. Okay. So I'm building up these two transforms in order to apply it to our deform node. Okay. And so if I do what we have been doing and do this, you'll see that that's where we're at right now. Okay. All right. So let's now take this and say, let's create the proper node here, not just debug. Let's create our deformParen, our final, this is the actual matrix we're going to apply to our deformation object. So we're going to do one final lookAt, which is we're going to put that into the deformParen equals apex.transform.LookAt.v2 from our center point. We're going to have that the lookAt is at our final matrix, which is right here. Okay. And we want it to be the up vector is going to be looking at our top joint. All right. And so when I save, it does nothing because we haven't done anything with the deformParen. If I then said, hey, debug equals deformParen, now it's starting to do something, and it's actually oriented appropriately. Regardless, wherever I move bottom and top, it's actually doing the right thing. It's not squashing and stretching yet, but the orientation of the object is where it needs to be. Now, I just created this deform parent. Let's actually hook that up, not in a debug manner, but actually use the final nodes that we're going to be using here, which will be squash node dot, not debug, but deformParen out dot connect. And I want to drive that into the deform node dot parent in. Okay. All right. So now, we've got, this is what we're doing here. And the lookAt joint, we no longer need in many ways. So we were just doing that for debug purposes. So I'm actually just going to remove this code now. We don't need it anymore. Okay. And once I do that, hit save, that lookAt joint disappears and everything's still functioning. And in fact, I can remove this debug from the squash subnet.